You want to talk about movies coming out in the year 2020? Let's talk about movies coming out in the year 2020. Readers, I don't know about you, but the movie release roster for 2020 looks pretty decent as far as I'm concerned. You got 2 Marvel movies, 2 DC movies, 2 Pixar movies, and an anti-Hong Kong propaganda piece Disney made for China that you're still gonna go see in theaters because of nostalgia. Yes, I know that Venom 2 comes out this year and that it's technically a Marvel movie, but you knew I meant Marvel Studios when I said that. Stop it. And out of the 8 movies I just mentioned, the amount of films I'm looking forward to the most are 2. I'm sure you can guess which ones those are. And that's not to say that I'm not looking forward to more movies that are coming out this year, or that I'm not going to go see the others. Hell, I'm not looking forward to either Marvel's Black Widow or Disney Pixar's Soul, but I'm probably still going to see them in theaters. So with that being said, here are the movies that are coming out in 2020 that are pretty high on my priority list, in the order that they're going to be released. Bad Boys for Life. So, the main reason why this is on my must-watch list is because of 2 things. The first one is that the trailers make it sound like it's going to be the last one, and I want to see how they're going to send it off. Are they going to follow the trilogy rule and have the plot tie into the first movie from 1995 in some way? Like, there's an 8-year gap between Bad Boys 1 and 2, and a 17-year gap between 2 and For Life. So I'm very interested in seeing how a buddy cop movie can pull this off with so many years between each of their installments. Not even the Lethal Weapon movies had those many years in between their franchise installments. The second one is that I'm curious to see how these 2 characters will interact on screen now that they are no longer under the influence of Michael Bay. Does that mean we'll stop seeing these 2 get super defensive about their masculinity whenever someone says they thought the 2 were in a relationship? Does that mean they're just gonna get rid of those tired-ass jokes from this installment altogether? Are they gonna incorporate Gabrielle Union and Jessica Alba's characters from Bad Boys 2 and the spin-off show LA's Finest into the movie as actual characters and not just eye candy now that Bay isn't around to do so? Not according to the cast list, unfortunately. Oh well, I'm still looking forward to seeing it. Bad Boys for Life comes out January 17th, 2020. Birds of Prey. I am super excited for Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Not only am I really looking forward to seeing Harley step out of Joker's shadow on the big screen, but it's finally been confirmed that this is the first movie in the current DCEU timeline that is officially rated R, even with Jeff Johns overseeing everything DC Films related. Also, as my reaction video to the first trailer for the movie has proven, I am hella interested in seeing how the story is going to play out, especially since it's looking like they're going with the plot of Harley and the Birds protecting a pre-badass Cassandra Cain from Black Mask and his cronies. Hopefully this does well enough that we can get that long-rumored Batgirl movie from Christina Hudson, the same writer of this movie, and Bumblebee, which was really good, that Joss Whedon was originally going to write and direct. Because something tells me that this will be the perfect precursor to its Cassandra Cain Batgirl movie. Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn comes out February 7th, 2020. Sonic the Hedgehog. So, I just want to make this known that the main reason why I'm interested in seeing Sonic the Hedgehog is because Paramount Pictures owned up to the mistake of the original design that was intended for this character. The execs knew what fans of the property wanted to see, yet still voted to go with what we initially got because they thought it would do a better job at getting casual moviegoers to see it in theaters. Which proves that none of the original decision makers for Sonic the Hedgehog saw what Legendary Pictures did with Detective Pikachu at all. But they rectified that by bringing in MPC Vancouver, the same studio that did the animations for the Life of Pi movie and the Lion King remake, to do the redesign animations, with Sonic Mania animation director Tyson Hesse being brought in as a design lead. And I felt double better about it when I found out that the animators were going to be treated with the utmost respect during the process. That, and seeing how much time and effort was put into redesigning Sonic upon seeing the final product, was what initially made me want to watch this movie. Finding out that they had to put in a pretty low bid in order for Disney to hire them to work on The Lion King, resulting in 17-plus-hour workdays for animators with no days off, and not seeing any of the almost $1,400 billion it made in profits, resulting in the studio having to shut down weeks before Christmas, on the other hand, left a sour taste in my mouth. But, as I stated before, considering every procedure Paramount took in admitting that they made the wrong decision, bringing on people who genuinely love the franchise, and treating the animation team with proper respect, I honestly blame Disney more than Paramount as to why MPC Vancouver were forced to close their doors. So not only am I stoked to watch the Sonic the Hedgehog movie because the movie studio listened to its fan base, but I'd rather pay my respect to an animation studio and a team by watching a project of theirs where they were treated with actual dignity. Sonic the Hedgehog comes out February 14th, 2020. The Invisible Man. This is Blumhouse's attempt at revitalizing the Dark Universe concept that just spectacularly failed with Universal's remake of The Mummy. I don't know if you saw the trailer for this, but the abusive and traumatic husband/boyfriend of a woman, quote-unquote, dies and becomes invisible, coming back to her life to make her life a living hell. So while everyone thinks she's going crazy and just wallowing in her past trauma, she has to take matters into her own hands to put an end to this horror once and for all. This is how you make the Invisible Man actually scary. Because that bitch wasn't once upon a time. I swear. Not only that, but I think that using the current climate regarding the Me Too and Believe Women movements to tell a horror story that can be used as an actual allegory to show how isolated and alone women feel when they're in traumatic and abusive situations because the world is just so quick to think that they're lying or just after clout when they actually do speak up about said trauma is a very smart move. It may not resurrect Universal's Dark Universe plans, but I am glad that this is the take that they're going with for, in my opinion, one of the lamest Universal monsters that they have in their roster. The Invisible Man comes out February 28th, 2020. A Quiet Place, Part 2. So when I was first made aware that they were making a sequel to this, I had concerns. Yes, they ended the movie on a string of hope concerning how to deal with the aliens, but it was pretty much a fine standalone horror flick. It didn't really need a sequel in my opinion. Then the trailer for it came out on New Year's Day, and I admit, my curiosity piqued. Because not only does the movie look like it's going to explore how the surviving members of the Abbott family are going to deal with other survivors on some back when Walking Dead was watchable type shit, but it's also backed up with acting talents like Cillian Murphy and Jimon Hunso. Also, we're gonna get some proper flashbacks of how the world got the way it did. And while I didn't have a problem with starting the first movie with the Abbotts already in the fray after the initial attack, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't want to see the initial alien attacks. Hopefully, old dude from The Office makes this one just as good as he did the first. A Quiet Place Part 2 comes out March 20th, 2020. Antebellum. Now, I don't know the exact details of this movie even after watching the trailer. All I know is that it stars my girl Janelle Monáe, and it looks like she and her 2019 girlfriends are being time traveled back to the pre-Emancipation Proclamation era of the southern United States by the ghost of a former slave, I think? Which personally I feel is just a bit much. I mean, the fact that the plot involves black folk going back in time against their will is in itself a plot for a horror flick. I don't think the ghosts are necessary at that point. That being said, I'm glad that there's been such a wave of horror movies with black leads that are both interesting and fun to watch. And while I respect Jordan Peele for paving the way to make that possible, I'm glad that other filmmakers like Gerard Bush are also contributing to the genre. Yes, I know that he's one of 2 directors in this movie, but I have to wait until I see the movie before determining if Christopher Renz is invited to the cookout. Antebellum comes out April 24th, 2020. Wonder Woman 1984. I feel like I said everything that I needed to say about how stoked I am for this movie in my trailer reaction video, so just click this. Just click this. Wonder Woman 1984 comes out June 4th, 2020. Candyman. So, I'll be the first to admit that I never watched the original Candyman in its entirety. Watching it in its entirety before catching the sequel that's going to be co-written and produced by Jordan Peele and directed by Nia DaCosta is definitely on my to-do list though. But what has me stoked about this movie is that Candyman, a black character that was created by a white British dude and received a 1992 movie which was written and directed by another white British dude, is receiving a Blumhouse Halloween-like follow-up film to it, directed by a black woman, and co-written by, at this point, the founding father of 21st century black horror films. Once again, let's watch the movie before determining if co-writer Win Rosenfeld is invited to the cookout. Candyman comes out June 12th, 2020. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Listen, I enjoyed Answer the Call probably just as much as I enjoyed the 2 OG Universe movies, which is a lot. And while I am sad that Answer the Call will probably be the last time we see the Paul Feig universe on the big screen, because I genuinely enjoyed the chemistry the 4 girls had on screen and genuinely wanted to see their take on Gozer, I'm not gonna just sit here and say that I'm not stoked that I'm getting more Ghostbusters in any capacity. Especially now that the trailer is out, we're getting Goonies Ghostbusters in the OG universe. As long as they tell this story in a way that keeps the events of Ghostbusters the video game canon in the OG universe, I'll be there Thursday night. Because Ghostbusters the video game is pretty much Ghostbusters 3. Yes, it is Ghostbusters 3. I'm not having this discussion with you. Ghostbusters Afterlife comes out July 10th, 2020. Tenet. So, Christopher Nolan was all like, I want to make Inception again, but instead of dream thieves, it's time travel cops. And let me get Denzel Washington's son to star in it, which immediately made me ask, why isn't this a horror movie? That's going to be the last Black People Are Afraid of Time Travel joke I do in this video, I swear. I swear. But in all seriousness, I really did gain a genuine interest in this movie after watching the trailer. With the exception of Dunkirk, mostly because I just didn't care about it. The way Warner Brothers edits Chris Nolan's trailers always makes me intrigued with the final result. I was that way with the Dark Knight trilogy, I was that way with Interstellar, I was definitely that way with Inception, and Tenet is no exception. Also, I want to see John David Washington in something that's not a Spike Lee joint, so I can properly see his range and decide if I like him as much as I like his dad, because BlacKkKlansman was not enough for me. Tenet comes out July 17th, 2020. The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. This is the sequel I didn't know that I needed. I enjoy The Hitman's Bodyguard tremendously, and I'm legit mad at myself that I don't own it on DVD yet. A bitch been broke, y'all. I wasn't expecting Sam Jackson and Ryan Reynolds to gel so well with each other when I first saw the movie years ago, but it's one of the best lower mid-budget comedies I've seen in a while. Like, you can clearly tell where the real sky ends and the green screen begins, and it was clear that Gary Oldman only took the villain role because he had nothing to do with his life for 3 months, but goddamn it is this movie so great. So I will be in the theater to see this movie with bells on, bitch. Bells. The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard comes out August 28th, 2020. Halloween Kills. I was very impressed with Blumhouse's revamping of Halloween when I saw it in theaters. Not the fact that it was able to create new timelines for itself like The Legend of Zelda or some shit, no. No. The franchise has done that since it thought it wanted to be American Horror Story. But the new timeline that was introduced in 2018's direct sequel to the 1978 movie made a lot of decisions that I was really happy with, and made me notice a lot of themes that some people might have picked up on regarding current political climates and social injustices that might have been intentional. So I have no doubt that this film is going to follow suit. I was gonna do a whole ass video essay about said themes I noticed in Halloween 2018, similar to my Brightburn essay with a special guest to help me out. But making sure I didn't get evicted from my home took a higher priority, so I guess I'll just have to work on making it for this year, when Halloween Kills comes out October 16th, 2020. Godzilla vs. Kong. I feel like I don't have to explain as to why I'm looking forward to this movie. So I'm not gonna explain myself as to why I'm looking forward to this movie. Godzilla vs. Kong comes out November 20th, 2020. Dune. So, I've never read the Dune Chronicles. I've never seen the original movie. Apparently there was a TV series and I only found out about that shit 15 minutes into writing this script. But what I do know is that this shit is more space opera-y than Star Wars, and I didn't even know that shit was possible. There's also the fact that I've constantly heard references from friends and friend adjacents that have just constantly made me go, LOL what? And I need to know what this shit is about. I need to know what kind of spice is for them, because apparently it's so good that even white people want it. I've never heard of that shit before. I also need to know why these sandworms are more dangerous than the ones in Tremors and Beetlejuice. Because last time I checked, Earth and Mars are real planets, bitch. Where the fuck is Arrakis at? So what I'll probably do is do my research and make sure Frank Herbert wasn't a racist, homophobic turf. Then read the first book if I'm satisfied with what my research comes up with. If I like it enough, I'll probably watch the original movie before this remake comes out, which comes out December 18th, 2020. Like I said before, readers, these are just the movies that are coming out in 2020 that I'm personally looking forward to the most. Just because I didn't mention it in this list doesn't mean I'm not going to see it or not going to review it here on the channel. I also know that your list of must-see movies for 2020 may and probably will differ than mine. So with that being said, readers, your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comments section below what your must-see movies of 2020 are. Do we have some in common? Are yours completely different than mine? I'd love to know your thoughts. If you want to help financially support the channel, you can join my Patreon by clicking the card at the end of the video or in the link in the description down below, where you can also find a link to my merchandise store. Or if you prefer to give one-time donations, you can find links to my PayPal and my Ko-fi account in the description box as well. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.